On page 171 of the census report, UBOS reveals that only 2.7 million Ugandans own bank accounts. The bank account ownership gives a fairer picture of who really is working and is in money economy. Both government and private sector pay through banks and are required by law to remit workers' savings to NSSF or various pension schemes. If only 2.7 million people, which is 10% of the working age, own bank accounts, it means many Ugandans are casual laborers. Bank of Uganda, in a 2022 financial capability survey, found out that 49% of Ugandan employees are paid 150,000 and below. Those paid between 250 and 150 are just 33%. People who are paid $500,000, between $500,000 and 250 are 11.1. Those who are paid between $500,000 and $1 million are 5.7. The Ugandans who are paid a salary of more than 1 million are just 0.9% of the population. That is the money economy for you in our country. 28 million Ugandans still using firewood for cooking. According to UBOS, 28 million people are still using firewood as main source of energy for cooking. This is 32% of the country's population. This affects the environment adversely and a source of ill health. 89% of the population is using firewood and charcoal. In Karamoja, 56% are still cooking in open space. The chair who presented the report said this is the best budget. Of the 10 million households, only 25 are using electricity for lighting and 28 are using solar. 5 million Ugandans ride border borders. According to UBOS, bicycles remain the main means of transport in the country. At least 20% of the population, roughly about 9 million people, own bicycles. 12%, 5.5 million, own motorcycles. 3.9, which is 1.8 million, own vehicles. What this means is that we are a border and bicycle economy. 14 million Ugandans in subsistence economy. According to the census, 3.5 million households, which is 33% of the total 10.6 million households in the country, are still engaged in subsistence economy. This is 14.8 million people. Just 2 pages and I finish the rest are just an UBOS. 62% of the entire population is in agriculture. This percentage means 28 million people are still surviving on agriculture. 5.6 million families share a room each, have no toilet. According to the census, there are 10.6 million households in Uganda. The average size of a household is 4.2 persons. According to the census, 53% of the households in the country sleep. 4 people sleep in one room. In Karamoja, it is even worse. It is 70% of the households that are sleeping in one room dwelling. So families have one room. That's where they sleep. According to the UBOS report, 7% of Uganda's population is without a toilet facility, still engaged in open defecation. Open defecation in Karamoja is at 60%, according to UBOS. World Health Organization underpins safe disposal of human waste as one of the key measures to reduce diarrhea transmission. Only 4.7 million households had improved sanitation facilities. As many as 6.5 million households are still using firewood. 20 million Ugandans food insecure. The Bureau of Statistics on page 356 of their report notes that 20 million Ugandans are moderately or severely food insecure. This is 4 people in every 10, representing 46% of the entire population. Again, Karamoja is worst hit, with 63% of the population suffering from food insecurity. It is followed by Teso. The chair of the committee is from Teso, the vice is from Karamoja. It is followed by Teso at 50% and Buked also at 50%. Also the reason is not very difficult to find. On page 332, UBOS reports that 98% of the country is still relying on rainwater for agriculture production. Irrigation is being undertaken only at 4%. Mind you, 62% of Uganda's population, or 20 million, are engaged and survive on agriculture. There was a proposal last year to buy and roll out 300 tractors to boost agriculture production. Mr. Museveni ordered this parliament to remove money for tractors. It had allocated last year, and you remember who we gave it to, Magora. The amount required for these tractors, 300 billion. The vice chair here was very happy that this is the best budget. You want 300 billion for tractors, they have provided 25. Very good budget. Last year, Parliament had also allocated 60 billion to complete construction of health centers. The list, you still have it. President Museveni forced Parliament to instead allocate this money, as I said, to Magora. He has now restored only 25 billion. You have, they can buy a regional Pharaoh hospital. No window, nothing. Almost 95% completed. You can't find money to complete it. And then you come here and say this is the best budget. For you, from Mbari, if it is the best, I thank you. I am finishing. This is the last. Our recommendation is that don't approve the budget until it is structured to deal with the country's socio-economic challenges. The money for workshops, entertainment, travel, fuel, etc. should be reallocated to education, health, agriculture, and roads. You are accosting the Minister of Works here. He doesn't have money, 900 billion to buy fuel for government vehicles, and then they begin moving around as if they are touring the country. The final pages are just stuff. I don't have to read them. Staff of our dear president, including cooks, gardeners. But I have also put the staff of Mulago Hospital for you to appreciate that the National Referral Hospital operates at 49%. Our view, since the law says that the budget should be passed by 30th of May, is for you to reject this particular budget. We go back and restructure it to deal with those issues that are affecting our people. If you don't, you will have betrayed them. I want to thank you very much, honourable members, for listening to me, and Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, you've had the minority and then the major report. Yes, Honourable Silas.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I want to thank...
And honourable members, I want to remind you, you debated this report when you brought BFP and ministerial statements, and I want you to be sensitive that we must handle this process and finish. I'm giving you just 1 minute.
Right, Honourable Chair, thank you for the 1 minute. I chair the WASH Forum. My concern is about there's so many villages in Uganda without even a single water source. The budget committee needs to provide money for that.
Thank
you. Two, we know, today we had a meeting with the Ntoroko and the Bundibujo districts. Those areas are prone to those disasters.
Did you take them to the sectoral committee and the budget committee?
Madam Chair, we already talked about them, but I'm emphasizing. So those districts need to be helped with the piped water. They don't have ecos and toilets. And yet when it floods, the area floods, they cannot support themselves with good toilet systems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. My concern with the budget is the allocation that has been given to cattle compensation, which has considered only Teso, Lango, and Acholi. Bukedi, I wanted to ask, Bukedi has not been considered, and this issue is lingering around Bukedi. I'm wondering why they consider only those one, and yet they consider them they have been considering them in other budgets. We expected the other regions also to be included.
Thank you. The presidential pledge on Teso, Lango, and Acholi. Gorreth.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I thank the Chair for the main report, but I'm in support of the minority report that we give time for this budget to be restructured. Right Honourable Speaker, my main concern is about domestic arrears. An allocation of 1.4 trillion versus a 15 trillion. And for the Ministry of Works alone, the Ministry of Works has a 1.7 trillion arrears. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I beg that we revise on the figure of domestic arrears, not to frustrate the private sector. Number 2 is about the 60 billion allocation to ROCO. Right Honourable Speaker, I request that we refer payment or allocation of that money, because the Auditor General in his report made the recommendation that the PSST should stay any allocation to private companies till when we get a right framework on how to give bailouts to private companies. Right Honourable Speaker, lastly is the issue of about the RDCs. Right
We will not do reallocation in the House. That's why we had all the time to go to the sector committee, to the budget committee on those issues. But Honourable Minister, take note of what the member is raising. Santa Ole Odur. After Santa Dur Ole.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable. Right Honourable, I think our problem as a country is cutting the coat, which is so big for our size. Madam Speaker, the budgeting is about the amount of money we expect and how we are going to spend it. Yesterday, the Minister of Works was here crying for money. And Madam Speaker, I think this is the right time that we have to provide the Ministry of Works with money to work on our roads, because that is the foundation of everything. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of giving money or bailing individuals like Rocco, Penetti, and the rest. Right Honourable Speaker, we are having money, inadequate money for the PDM. Why can't we use this money to address some of these challenges whereby the majority of Ugandans don't have money to expend, and we are giving money to few individuals, Madam Speaker?
Thank you. Honourable members, by the way, I want to invite you people to go and see Lubwa Hospital. We are about to open. Yes, Lubwa Hospital is almost. I am going to go to Lubwa Hospital with the leader of opposition. We are going to visit it. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when we discuss the budget, we don't only discuss the figures, but we also discuss other issues that inform the budget.
Please do.
So for that reason, first, I want to fault the government budget strategy. We are so good at coining terminologies, full monetization. Full monetization supposedly means that when you go, you find people with money, full in their pockets or in their banks or somewhere. But what do you find in Uganda? Full poverty. You say higher income at household level. The budget strategy. What do you find at household level? From the UBOS report, people are more poor. You talk about market access. But we are here crying about people who can't sell their sugarcane, can't sell their tea, can't sell their milk. So the first issue is, are people in government really thinking, or they just go to the dictionaries and pick words and then they give the minister to come and present here? These are the realities we have to check. Secondly, if you are talking about now the strategy itself, agro-industrialization and tourism, I want to fault government for thinking that tourism is national parks. Tourism is watching animals. When we apply for visas to visit some of these countries, which visa do they give you? A tourist visa. If there is a place in Uganda that requires support for tourist development, it is Kampala. Because everyone comes to Kampala for a visit. It is the urban centers that we have. So the facilities within the urban centers where people come to see. In Lira, for example, Lira City, we have tourists who come from Agago. We have tourists from Abim who come on a daily basis to visit Lira and they go back. And there are so many tourists who come to Kampala for this visit. So the point I'm raising is we should depart.
What is it? No, let
Thank
him.
you,
Let
the
him
Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Agago, let him
Madam
finish
Speaker,
his.
Madam Speaker, I come from Agago.
Can you, Honourable Duru, can you finish? He's a tourist. We are all tourists. Even me, I'm a tourist in Kampala. Yes. We are all tourists.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I want to pick up the issue, for example, of coffee. We are investing a lot to process our coffee, but if you don't develop the internal capacity, the market, to buy coffee, even to say a developed country, you see with the amount of intake of coffee they do. I've just learned recently that Ethiopia, which is ahead of us, for example, consumes 50% of their coffee production. But for us, we consume less than 10%. So the coffee we make, 90% is for export. So the point I am making is, even when we think of agro-industrialization, we should think whether we have the purchasing power, whether we have developed the capacity to be able to deal with that. The third one, briefly, is about the economic pillars. Unemployment, balance of trade, debt to GDP ratio, our reserves, etc. In Uganda, if a government advertises for a job, people are more attracted to work for the government than for the private sector. I can give the example of lawyers. The amount of lawyers applying to join to be grade 1 magistrates, senior lawyers, shows you that the economy is collapsing. A developing economy, the one growing, as stated by government, is the one that attracts more into the private sector employment.
Thank you. I thought you had finished. Okay.
So lastly, I want to point out that this entire budget is a corruption-led budget. The Honorable Ssemujju has done good justice in pointing out the areas. When you examine the items proposed to this parliament for financing, and he listed them, donations, corporate social responsibilities, and etc., it's just money we are passing for people to enjoy. I would rather support that these monies are allocated, for example, in education sector. If you go to Kwarikwar sub-county in Bukedea.
Kwarikwar is okay. Don't put it there. We have no problem.
Yeah, just because we
are
provided.
No, we don't have a problem.
Because now we are provided for it.
No, we don't have a problem in Kwarikwar.
Okay, let me now mention another one.
You say in Otuke?
Okay, no, I don't know about Otuke, but in Etek, in Uyudek, we don't have seed secondary schools. So my proposal is we go back and review.
Dr. Yume.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. In 2023, we passed a very good bill called the Uganda Human Organ Donation and Transplant Bill. And I think it's one of the best, and I thank Parliament and His Excellency for assenting to the bill. Right Honourable Speaker, for the last 3 financial years, we have not provided any money for organ transplant. And what we need is 5 billion shillings. I'm sure most members of Parliament are called to fundraise for constituents or their beloved ones to take to India and Turkey at $30,000. So the limitation is 5 billion shillings, Right Honourable Speaker. And the 120 Ugandans case backlog who need kidney transplant will be able to get a service. Mulago is ready. Zambia Hospital is ready for liver transplant.
Dr. Rionga, Honorable Nzima.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Also, I would like to appreciate the Chair and the committee for the report. Right Honourable Speaker, in our sector, we have very many uncompleted stalled structures. Some have spent 3 or 4 or 5 years. And some of these contractors, they have put in their monies. And they want to sue the government for non-payment. And also, we are going to host AFCON in Hoima. But we have a ward which was demolished with the promise of constructing another one. The contractor they got the contractor, and we have 1.15 billion. We requested the committee.
I hope we are not going into constituencies.
This is the regional referral hospital for 8 districts. And we are going to host AFCON. We had requested, we have 1.15 billion.
AFCON has its money and for working on the services around the hospitals, the roads, and whatever. So, Doctor, that one is catered for. It's catered for. Yes.